Welcome. Today we're moving away from our usual analysis of trends or reports. Instead, we're going to recount some deeply unsettling true stories. We've gathered several narratives, really, of encounters that start normally, but, well, they twist into something dark. Betrayal, cruelty, popping up where you least expect it. We'll tell these stories, inviting you to witness these chilling events alongside us.
Yes, we're looking at 4 distinct situations today. Different places, different people, but there's a common thread, isn't there? This calculated darkness emerging from ordinary life. We want to understand the how. How does someone plan such things? How is trust so completely shattered?
Right. It's about the methodology behind the horror. Let's start with the first one. It's a story of vengeance, really, out in Brookings, South Dakota. Involves an old-timer living alone. He'd suffered a terrible loss years before a car accident took his wife, his 2 daughters, living in this big, empty house.
And then his world gets invaded again, but differently. The area saw a rise in crystal meth use, and with it, crime. Constant theft, people breaking in, stealing his AC unit, other belongings, sometimes like twice a week, according to the accounts, just relentless. It wore him down.
Understandably. So he starts watching, sits on his porch with a shotgun. One night, 2 guys show up, clearly looking to break in again. He fires a warning shot over their heads, but they don't run. They actually shoot back at him.
Yeah, and they yell this threat, we'll be back, you dumb son of a bitch, and when we do, we're going to kill you. Just chillingly direct. He talks to the sheriff, who confirms, lethal force is permissible for self-defense, but also points out the danger, being outnumbered. The sheriff suggested maybe leaving town for a bit. Asked him straight up, was that old empty house worth dying for?
And this is where the story takes a really dark turn. He doesn't leave. He doesn't just wait to defend himself either. He plans something elaborate. Cruel. He rents one of those heavy-duty moving trucks, the kind, almost impossible to break into or out of, and he tampers with the inside lock mechanism.
Deliberately makes it so it can't be opened from the inside. He even, apparently, tested it, tricked a friend into getting locked in briefly just to be sure it worked. Think about that level of premeditation. It's beyond just fear or anger. He's designing a trap.
He baits it perfectly, fills old TV and VCR boxes with junk, makes it look like a huge haul of expensive electronics sitting right there in the back of the truck, door open. And sure enough, 3 guys armed show up, likely the original 2 plus 1 more, looking for revenge, but they see the boxes.
Instant distraction. Greed takes over. They climb inside to grab the loot.
And he slams that heavy door shut, locks them in.
And that's when the psychological aspect really begins. They panic. They're shooting inside the truck, trying to blast their way out, but it's built too tough. Then the old-timer apparently calls out to them, doesn't call the police yet.
Yeah.
He tells them they're trapped, calls the truck their tomb.
It's horrifying. They beg, they plead, offer him money, anything, but he just leaves them. For 3 days, 3 whole days, locked in that steel box, no food, no water.
The accounts say they ended up, drinking their own urine, eating the cardboard from the boxes, just complete degradation. And then the final horror. He described it later as sounding like the 4th of July in there. They turned on each other, shooting, stabbing, chaos.
When the sheriff finally arrived, alerted by the sounds, it initially looked like a triple murder-suicide inside the truck. The old-timer. He didn't just want them stopped. He wanted them to suffer, to break completely.
It's the methodical nature of it, and almost the pride he seemed to take in the planning. Choosing this slow, agonizing psychological end over a quick defensive act. It speaks to how deep trauma, combined with feeling unprotected, can curdle into something truly monstrous.
Absolutely chilling. Okay, let's shift gears now. From that kind of raw, rural vengeance to a different kind of darkness. Betrayal within a system meant to help. This story comes from a place called The Farm, a state-mandated rehab for young people, mostly dealing with OxyContin addiction. Mentorship was a huge part of the program.
Right, and the narrator here was a mentor. He'd formed a really strong connection with his mentee, a young woman named Shauna. She was resistant at first, but then started making real progress. He felt they were having major breakthroughs. He was invested.
Then, one day, the police show up. They have an outstanding warrant for Shauna from another county. She claims she knows nothing about it. The mentor, believing in her, wanting to protect the progress she'd made, convinces her to just walk out with him, face the police calmly. He figures, if she really didn't know about it, it couldn't have been that serious.
A terrible miscalculation born out of trust, because Shauna wasn't thinking about progress. She was thinking about going back to jail. Pure panic. As they're walking towards the officers, she suddenly produces a knife, holds it right to the mentor's throat.
He's stunned. She yells, "I'm not going to jail. I'm getting out of here." He tries to reason with her, tells her they'll shoot her. Even then, knife at his neck, he writes that he was 99.9999% convinced she wouldn't actually hurt him. He thought she just wanted a human shield to escape.
But her next words shattered that belief completely. She basically laid out her plan. She yelled something like, "Yes, it will work, because they'll be too busy trying to save you than to chase me."
Oh.
In that instant, the mentor realized the horrific truth. She was willing to sacrifice his life for a chance at freedom.
The police reacted instantly. A single shot. The mentor said the last thing he heard was Shauna yelling, "I'm sorry." The bullet hit her brainstem, killed her instantly. He felt a small nick on his neck, that's all. But he was left with this awful knowledge. She had to die so that I might live.
It's just terrifying how quickly that trust, months of work, completely disintegrated. The fear of consequences just overrode everything else in a split second. A total fatal collapse.
Such a rapid implosion. Now let's look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Not a sudden snap, but slow, patient manipulation, grooming. This one involves a 12-year-old boy and his friend Brett in Portland, Oregon. They used to fish at this local spot. And one day they meet this man. Let's call him Mr. Michaels.
And Mr. Michaels presented himself as the picture of harmlessness. Looked like Mr. Rogers, cardigan and all. He was helpful at first, chased off some grumpy guy claiming the land was his, made the boys feel safe, looked after. Then he starts bringing them treats, baked goods supposedly from his wife, gold sodas, building that rapport.
Yeah, and offering advice, like wholesome advice about girls, telling them don't force it, positioning himself as this kindly, wise figure. This went on for about 2 months, just slowly, patiently embedding himself in their lives.
The shift happened when the narrator mentioned his family life was unstable, that they might have to move soon. Mr. Michaels reacted strangely, got upset, walked off without saying goodbye. He came back later, apologized, and he used the boy's situation, his own supposed unstable past, to introduce this idea of a chosen family.
That's the pivot, isn't it? Redefining the relationship. He started pushing this idea of being a father figure to the boy. Then he asked him directly if the boy loved him, like familial love. The boy felt pressured, uncomfortable, but eventually said yes.
And that's when the mask fully slipped. Mr. Michaels followed up with, "People who love each other sometimes touch one another as a way of expressing that love."
Chilling. The boy, even at 12, instantly knew. The narrative says he realized Mr. Michaels is a predator. All that kindness, the advice, the sodas, it was all a lie. 2 months of patient grooming.
A calculated performance. The boy told his mother, thankfully. She told his uncle, who went to the sheriff. Mr. Michaels wasn't formally arrested, but he was basically told to disappear, to move someplace far, far away. But the damage was done. The boys realized that Mr. Michaels they knew never existed. He was just a character created by someone incredibly dangerous.
That kind of betrayal, discovering the person you trusted was entirely fabricated for malicious reasons, it's devastating.
Absolutely. It's psychological warfare, really. It operates like, well, the old stories of the devil, lies, tricks you into thinking he's your friend, your confidant, before revealing his true nature. Profoundly damaging.
Okay, one more story. This one shifts to an urban setting, Bushwick, New York, and it involves deception of a different kind using art as a cover. The narrator found what seemed like the perfect roommate, Florian, Estonian guy, tall, skinny, sober vegetarian, a filmmaker. But the key thing was he needed absolute silence during the day for his work.
So living with him was, as the narrator put it, like living with a ghost. Very little interaction, very quiet, the ideal setup for someone wanting privacy, perhaps.
Then Florian asks for a favor, needs the apartment for an emergency night shoot for one of his films, tells the narrator he either needs to leave for the night or stay locked in his bedroom. Florian warns him, says the project is unusual, has elements some people might associate with horror films, but insists it's just, filmmaking, simulation.
Plausible deniability built right in. An indie filmmaker in Bushwick doing weird stuff seems almost normal.
So the narrator decides to stay, locks himself in his room, puts on noise-canceling headphones. But soon, he starts hearing things through the headphones. Loud, blood-curdling screams, followed by minutes of someone just begging frantically, no, please, God, no, over and over.
That alone is deeply disturbing. But then comes the detail that completely shatters the "it's just a film" excuse. Around 10:30 p.m., the narrator takes his headphones off for a second and hears everyone downstairs 3 distinct voices, he thought, chanting, "Hail Satan, hail Satan, hail Satan."
Yeah, that's not typical film dialogue. Fast forward 2 weeks, Florian asks to use the apartment again for another shoot. The narrator agrees but has to pop back quickly to grab his laptop charger. He walks in unannounced.
And what he walks into is not a film set. The entire downstairs area floors, walls is covered in clear plastic sheeting, taped up everywhere.
Like a kill room setup, basically. And before he can even process it, 2 men in black wearing these matte black masks like security rush him, yelling, "Intruder!"
They don't ask questions. They slam him to the floor, tase him in the leg. He's paralyzed temporarily. They just drag him straight out of the apartment and dump him on the sidewalk.
He calls the police, naturally. But by the time they arrive, maybe 20 minutes later, the plastic is gone. The masked men are gone. It's just Florian. And Florian puts on this act, "Oh, it was just an exclusive party. The security guards were overzealous, so sorry about that." Smooths it all over for the cops.
But once the police leave, Florian's demeanor changes completely. He drops the act, turns, as the narrator described it, incredibly chilling. Tells the narrator he had no right to know what had been going on in his own apartment, and that he should consider himself lucky